Presented by Honda. At the Model Clearout event, it's the best time to team up with a Honda you love.
The Blue Jays are looking for the sweep here this afternoon. Not of concern to that little fella right there, but you know, he can stay out there because we got camp day. We got thousands of kids in the ballpark. They don't need any bee stings or wasp stings or anything like that. Buck Showalter and the Baltimore Orioles are having a tough time, to say the least. 37-89, looking for their first win here in this ballpark this season. And this is their last chance to get it. The Blue Jays are 9-0 against the Orioles here at Rogers Center this season, as left-hander Thomas Pannone leads the Blue Jays onto the field. His first big league start, and this will be the lineup that he will face today. Jonathan Villar, ex of the Milwaukee Brewers, has had some success, as you can see, in his career against the Blue Jays over the years. And Adam Jones, how about this? You know, you've been around for a while and in the same division. He's closing in on 100 games in this ballpark. Today will be number 98.
Well, the Orioles are going to get their first look at Thomas Pannone. Pannone making his 5th big league appearance, his first major league start. He's 24 years old. Overall, in his professional career, he's thrown over just over 500 innings. So he is really learning his craft in the big leagues, and he's got ice water in his veins. He doesn't get rattled. He doesn't show much emotions. He's not going to light up the radar gun. So if you're expecting 95, 96, you're not going to get that from Pannone. But he can pitch inside very well with his fastball. He's got good finish to that fastball, and it will look like it's 93, 94 to the hitters. He's got a very good changeup and a slow curveball that's especially effective against lefties, but he doesn't have many left-handers in this lineup today, and Pannone anxious to get this first start under his belt. Defensively, let's take a look at the defense. In the outfit is Hernandez, Grichuk, and Billy Mckinney. Devin Travis, boy, he has played so well this season defensively, and I think it has a lot to do with his confidence in his knees. He's had so many problems with injuries, but this year you can see he goes after balls really confident that he can get to them. He's got sure hands and a strong arm. He has had his best season, in my mind, defensively in the field.
And as we mentioned, it is camp day, and there are a ton of kids in the ballpark, and you can see them, the oranges, the yellows, the blues, the greens, all over the ballpark. And this means it's going to be a noisy afternoon when every ball that's hit in the air in the eyes of the campers has a chance to go out. So but we love the enthusiasm, and great seeing them down here at the ballpark today.
You can see part of the camp projects making signs to take to Rogers Center.
Ready to go. Dan Bellina was the home plate umpire. Cedric Mullins is in the box. And we're underway with a fastball a little bit outside for ball one. Mullins, who made his major league debut a couple of weeks ago, has taken over as the everyday center fielder and leadoff man for the Orioles. He's a switch hitter with speed.
Now, the one thing about Pannone that he has shown throughout his minor league career is the ability to throw strikes, and he's just got to get his emotions under control here. Get that ball in the strike zone, and then things will smooth out for him a little bit. You know, no matter what, everybody talk, well, you know, it's no big deal. I guarantee his heart is racing right now. First chance to pitch as a starter in the big leagues.
Working to a catcher, of course, he's familiar with. Gets a call there on the outside corner, 2-2. 4 pitches, 4 fastballs so far for Pannone, who is familiar with Danny Jansen and vice versa, so a little bit maybe extra comfort there for the left-hander.
You know, we talk about it with veterans, and I have seen it with Barucki. Now we're starting to see it with Pannone. Everything a pitcher does on the mound is presentation. You present yourself to the hitters, and you stand on the mound looking for the sign, working quickly. That's a very positive message that you're sending. There's our curveball, that 72-mile-an-hour hook that missed inside. But I like the fact that Pannone doesn't mess around. He steps on the rubber, he waits for the sign, and he's anxious to work.
He is from Cranston, Rhode Island, and in high school was an outfielder and a pitcher. Originally drafted by the Cubs in the 33rd round of 2012. Primarily he's an outfielder, but decided not to sign and went to school, went to the College of Southern Nevada, and basically stopped playing outfield. Became a pitcher full-time in college. As Mullins lifts a lazy fly ball to left field. And Hernandez now drifting back to make the catch, 1 down.
Well, we mentioned Thomas Pannone is not going to light up the radar gun. 89 miles an hour, that's his average fastball, but he throws it a lot. He's got confidence that he can locate it. The curveball is 72 now on average, and he'll throw that. And then the changeup. I think the changeup is a key to his success, being able to locate his fastball and set up that changeup to get some swings and misses.
Another switch hitter, the second baseman, Jonathan Villar. Hitting .262 overall on the season if you combine his Brewer and Oriole numbers. .268 with the Baltimore as he looks at a strike. So Pannone, 4 major league appearances out of the bullpen. This is his first big league start. Came over in a deal with the Indians last year, the Joe Smith trade that has netted the Blue Jays Thomas Pannone and a second baseman by the name of Samad Taylor, who's an intriguing prospect down in the minors, a guy with a lot of speed.
He has over 40 steals in the minor leagues and just 20 years old. So if they can get 2 good players for a relief pitcher, that's a heck of a deal. You know, you mentioned Southern Nevada College. It's a junior college in Las Vegas, and nobody knew about where Southern Nevada Junior College was until Bryce Harper went to school there. And Thomas Pannone has also gone there, and it's an interesting connection going all the way from Rhode Island to Las Vegas to play junior college baseball. But he went there as an outfielder, started to pitch a little bit as a freshman, and became an everyday pitcher. That hit him right on the toe.
Curveball that ran down and in and got him on the toe of the front foot of the left foot for Villar, and he's in a little bit of pain right now.
Pannone's breaking ball is a big sweeping breaking ball, and he just gets on top of it and pulls it down and in, and you can see where it hits Villar right on that toe. He's got the shin guard and got the instep protected, but the toe is exposed, and wouldn't you know it, he gets hit right on that big toe.
Buck Showalter looking on from the Orioles first base dugout. Villar trying to walk off the pain as he just now makes his way to first base.
Villar can run a little bit, and I know he just got hit on the foot, but I think Buck Showalter wants to test this battery today, just see what kind of move Pannone has and see whether or not Danny Jansen can throw. So Pannone's going to show him the move right off the chute. Danny's caught just 2 of 11 base stealers so far. But it's a combination of getting a pitcher to give you a good release time. That's a big lead. He wants to see another pickoff.
We usually see about 11 feet. That was 13 and crept up into 14 every now and again for Villar. Trey Mancini is the batter for the Orioles. 2 for 8 so far in the series. .235, got some pop. 17 home runs on the season. And again, an aggressive lead by Villar, and he'll draw another throw.
Yeah, and that's the purpose of that big lead. He's going to want to see Pannone's move a couple of different times. Wayne Kirby, first base coach, is outside the coaching box. He's really locked in on Pannone, see if he can't pick something up that'll help his base runner.
Got him. Different kind of a move from Pannone, and he picks off Villar.
Well, we mentioned Thomas Pannone is a position player. He played a lot, so he understands what Villar's trying to do, and he shows him a different look. Buck Showalter hadn't seen that look before, nor had Villar. It's a step-off throw move and a nice tag by Smoke. Boy, that's a good move. If a left-hander can incorporate that into a move, and all of a sudden that's going to spread like wildfire. Watch out for Pannone's step-off move. It's a good one.
So Pannone makes Villar pay for that really aggressive lead that he was taking to first base. And now 2 down and the base is empty, and a 1-1 count on Mancini. We mentioned he went to Southern Nevada, gave up being an outfielder, started pitching, as now Villar's getting that toe looked at. Pannone then selected by the Indians in the 9th round of the 2013 draft. Ground ball to short, big Caparania, and that's all for the Orioles. A good first inning for Thomas Pannone in his first major league start. Gibbons Blue Jays try to sweep the Baltimore Orioles here this afternoon. The Blue Jays hitting 4 home runs in last night's win, beating the O's 8-2. And a guy responsible for a lot of that power recently, Kendrys Morales. 4 homers in his last 3 games and a 6-game hitting streak. 11 for 19 back at the cleanup spot today. Randal Grichuk back in the lineup today, batting 5th, playing center, and a guy who's had some success against the Orioles this year.
For the Orioles, it'll be the right-hander, 25-year-old David Hess. Hess is making his 13th start of the season, his 15th appearance overall. ERA closing in on 6, and home runs have been a problem for Hess. He's had a problem keeping the ball in the ballpark. 23 of the 45 runs that Hess has allowed this year have come on the home run, and the Blue Jays have been playing that home run card in this series.
Billy McKinney is in the lineup, and he is in the leadoff spot in this game. Boy, what a night it was last night for McKinney. A 2-run single in his first big league homer. Very limited numbers, 6 for 15 in the big leagues this year. As he pulls a sharp ground ball, but a right at Villar, the second baseman, 1 down.
Take a look at the defense. A couple of new changes for the Orioles. Jones is not playing in right. Cedric Mullins is in center field. Behind the plate is 27-year-old rookie Austin Wynns. Wynns hit his first big league home run right here in this ballpark earlier in the season against Tyler Klippert. And he's done a nice job. He has caught 6 of 14 base stealers, and he's hit particularly well against lefties. And that's why he's in the lineup today.
Devin Travis back in there and in the 2 spots. Second day in a row for the Blue Jays, hitting .234 on the season. Little afternoon baseball today. Off day for the Blue Jays tomorrow. Then the Phillies come to town on Friday. Boy, it is a different, just the noises in the ballpark are so different today than they are any other day of the season.
A lot of kids here obviously having a good time, and every time something happens on the field they all cheer.
Yeah.
But look at them all. They're eating. Every one of them's eating something. That's awesome.
Everybody hoping for a souvenir.
What a great memory. Say, yeah, I remember we went down to Rogers Center on camp day.
Out of play, still 0-2. Buck Showalter's team, after the 2 losses here in Toronto, are now 37 and 89. The worst record in baseball, though Kansas City's not that far away from them. And a swing and a miss. Good breaking ball down and away. Hess gets Travis 2 down.
A good slider down and away after a couple of foul balls were on the fastball. He came back, and you see Buck Showalter making notes to himself, and it's something he constantly does. Good target by the catcher. He wanted to emphasize down and away, and Hess delivers that good strike to ball breaking ball to get the strikeout. You can see the tight spin on that breaking ball, and Travis strikes out for the second out.
That'll bring up Justin Smoke as the Orioles put the shift on against the big first baseman. Pretty good pitch there by Hess, but it's called low for ball 1. Smoke with a home run in last night's game, his team leading 19th. Smoke hitting .304 with 19 extra base hits over his last 38 games. Right in on his hands, ground ball down to first. Easy play for Mancini, and the Blue Jays go in order. We are scoreless at the end of 1.
Of Thomas Pannone today in this, his first ever start at Rogers Center. And while Pannone said he was looking forward to it, he feels a lot of the jitters and nerves are out of the way, what with 4 relief appearances already this season, having been to his first big league camp and seeing that his stuff can play against those at this level. Now, Pannone's welcome to the show moment came Sunday in the Bronx. He pitched in New York for the first time with his whole family in attendance after Thomas's dad came down and looked him in the eye and said, "You actually pitched at Yankee Stadium." His mom was in tears. Pannone said it was that whole afternoon when it hit everyone in the family what he'd accomplished, and he said it was overwhelming for everyone. He's hoping today against Baltimore, guys, will be anything but.
All right, Arash, thank you. Well, a good top of the first for Pannone. Maybe a little bit of nerves early, as you mentioned. Fell behind 2-0, then got it out. Hit a batter with a curveball, then picked him off, and then got a ground ball to end the top of the first.
I saw Pannone and his family after the game Sunday, and he had a large contingent of family and friends. They're from Rhode Island, so it's not that much of a road trip down to Yankee Stadium. But you can bet how many of the family expressed the thoughts of his family. Thomas, you pitched against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. That's pretty special.
And depending on how things work out with Aaron Sanchez, Marcus Stroman, Pannone's got a chance to stay in the rotation the rest of the season, you would think. Aaron Sanchez is here in Toronto. He's back with the ball club, and there's proof right there. And he is scheduled to throw a side session tomorrow on the off day. Now the starting pitchers all stick together, huh? Baraki, Gaviglio, Sanchez, and Estrada right there. Sanchez scheduled to throw a side session under the watchful eye of Pete Walker on the off day tomorrow. And if there are no issues, then Aaron will start Saturday against Philadelphia. Stroman obviously is still a ways away because of that blister. If Stroman gets back at some point soon, then theoretically there are 6 starting pitchers. And John Gibbons was asked, is it possible the team goes with 6 starters in September? And he said, yeah, sure, anything's possible. But, I mean, they'd love to get Sanchez back, love to get Stroman back. Presumably Estrada's still here, though he could be traded by the end of the month. But, you know, Baraki's going to keep starting. And you got to believe the Blue Jays would like to see as much of Pannone as they can.
Yeah, I think that's the key. And you get these guys up here and they get a taste of the big leagues. You get a chance to see them work against different teams. I think that's important. Brian Baraki threw his side session today, and he felt very good about the blister issue he had on his landing foot, and he's made some minor adjustments to his breaking ball. We'll see that next time he pitches.
Jones gets jammed, and Danny Jansen will make the catch. A lot of talk about those two guys the last couple of days, with Jones living with Jansen's family when Danny was only 9, when Jones was playing for a minor league team in Appleton, Wisconsin, and they've had a nice reunion over the last couple of days.
Yeah, it's been a good opportunity for Danny Jansen to see a guy he looked up to as a kid. Adam Jones was just 18 back in 2004 in his first year, and it's a little bit of banter at the start. He probably did that to him when they were living together when Danny was 9.
One down. Here's Tim Beckham, the shortstop, hitting .224. You can see sometimes that fastball for Pannone, sometimes it comes in like a straight 4-seamer, but sometimes more when he runs it in on the righty's bucket, it acts like a cutter. It's really running in on the hands of a right-handed hitter.
That's the finish we talk about. And you know, when you see the radar numbers, you say 80, 89, but hitters can recognize that there's a little extra hop in the pitch. You'll remember Pat Henkin when he pitched 90, 91, 92, but there was a little skip in that fastball, especially up and into right-handed hitters.
That last pitch, the changeup at 84, important pitch for him against righties.
That's the one thing that doesn't show up on a stat sheet is life. He's got life on his fastball. He's got finish on his pitches, where it looks like it speeds up at the end, and it really creates a timing issue for hitters. Changeup missed inside. I think Tommy John made one of my favorite quotes of all time talking about the radar gun. He said the radar gun is another tool for the uninformed to evaluate. Let the hitters tell you what a guy's doing.
3-1 fastball for a strike.
See, the one thing I like about Pannone in this at bat, even though he threw that Second pitch for a strike outside. Everything is down. He's got good command of up and down, and he recognizes what he has to do to be effective.
Lost him. Well, as we mentioned back in high school, Thomas Pannone was a two-way player like a lot of good athletes, good baseball players are. There's the left-handed stroke of Thomas Pannone as he leaves the yard. He would eventually turn to pitching exclusively. Here he is on the mound at high school, obviously winning a big game right there. Let the celebration begin. Went to college, became a pitcher, and became a big leaguer.
State championship in Rhode Island, and you know, most of these major leaguers, they have been two-way players. Obviously, they're always the best athletes on their high school team, and chances are just about everyone has pitched in high school, and then you have to decide if you're a two-way player. I mean, we've seen him. Nick Markakis was the same way when he came up with the Orioles. He was a pitcher and an outfielder. John Olerud, a great pitcher in college.
Be interesting to see how aggressive Beckham is at first base after Villar got picked off in the first inning.
Yeah, that's the only feedback they have on whether or not Pannone can manage the running game, and so far it's a stop sign for the Orioles. That really helps out the catcher. I got to tell you, the leads get shorter and shorter. You saw the first step by Beckham was back toward first. He took that left foot and took a half step back toward first when Pannone was delivering to the plate. Very conservative lead by Beckham. Not a real base stealing threat. Another step back toward first. Not really sure which way to go. When you're not a base stealing threat, the last thing you want to do is get picked off.
A couple of borderline pitches have gone against Pannone here in this at bat, and after walking Beckham, he's fallen behind Craig Gentry 3-1. And gets a call there on the outside corner. Gentry had already tossed his bat away, was heading down to first, which won't endear him to Dan Bellino at all.
Buck Showalter now giving his signs to Bobby Dickerson, the third base coach, as to whether or not they're going to start the runner at first. Pannone has been able to come back and throw the second strike, and you can see Gentry thought it was way outside, so much so that he tossed the bat aside.
Looked like it was an inch or two off the outside corner. Let's see if the runner is going, as Buck said. Beckham, decent speed. Short lead again. Not going, and the pitch is swung on and hit deep to left field. Hernandez is back, and he has room right on the edge of the warning track. Beckham is going to tag and advance to second. Good base running there by Beckham. 2 down.
Yeah, Beckham went right back to tag as soon as he saw he was going to stay in the ballpark, and Hernandez kind of caught the ball flat-footed. So Beckham, he's going to break as soon as the ball is caught, and then he will read the outfielder as to whether or not he's going to advance. So Hernandez gets back, and watch how he catches it flat-footed, and then never thought about the base runner tagging. And Beckham goes back. He's going to see the catch. Now he goes, and he sees the hesitation in left field, so he moves up 90 feet. Those are the extra bases that will lead to runs, especially with 2 outs.
Now Renato Nunez, the third baseman, takes a changeup down and away for ball 1.
There are so many things that go into that play for Hernandez. Center fielder Randall Gritcher's got to come over and say, hey, he's tagging, he's tagging, he's tagging. Just give him the heads up so you could get the ball back in quickly. You never know. Even if you unload in a hurry and the throw's offline, you might stop the base runner from advancing. It's all about communication.
Kevin Pillar getting the day off. Grichuk in center, Hernandez in left. Billy McKinney is in right field.
Mike Mordecai, the coach, was talking with Pillar, probably saying, you know what, is that what we should be doing there on that ball? And center fielder comes over a little bit and says, hey, man, he's tagging. Just to give Teoscar the heads up.
Boy, there are a couple of swings. You talked about life or finish on the fastball. One of them was at 90, one was at 89, and Nunez, not that he missed them, he was late on both of them.
Yeah, and it's because he's got a smooth delivery. Pannone has a very smooth delivery, and you see the spin. And there's been so much talk about spin rate, and we have found out that the higher the spin rate, the better the finish is on fastballs.
Runner at second, 2 down, 1-2 pitch, and a pop-up. Travis back in shallow center makes the catch, and that's all as the 1-out walk is stranded. We go to the bottom of the second in a scoreless game, and here comes Kendrys Morales. 4 home runs in his last 3 games. He'll be followed by Randall Grichuk and then Russell Martin.
Friday Fan Festivals are presented by Bacardi. The next one is coming up this Friday. 2 events, 1 night. You can join pregame for a live performance from the Trues. The patio opens at 4:30, weather permitting, of course. BlueJays.com for tickets, and the Phillies have traded for White Sox left-hander Luis Avilan, guys.
A little boost to their bullpen as the Phillies try to battle the Atlanta Braves for top spot of the National League East. Entering play today, the Phillies are 2 back of Atlanta. Kendrys Morales lifts a fly ball into right center field. Mullins is there to make the grab. 1 down.
You know, Dan, you talk about that trade, and it seems like a minor trade, but the Phillies have lost 3 in a row. The players in that clubhouse say, hey, front office is still trying to help us out. You bring another left-hander in. Luke just went on the DL, so he's not available, so they had to go back and get another lefty. So that sends a real positive message to the players in that Philly clubhouse that, hey, we're doing everything we can to run down this Atlanta Braves team.
Here's Randall Grichuk again getting his start in center field today as Kevin Pillar gets the day off. Take a look at Grichuk and Hernandez jogging in from the outfield after the inning. Grichuk saying something, and it looks like Hernandez said there, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, and that's probably in relationship to that fly ball he caught in the outfield and allowed Beckham to advance from first to second. But at the same time, as an outfielder, yeah, you got to know the situation. But Grichuk appeared to say, hey, I was trying to holler out, he's tagging. And that's just a natural situation where you always need help from your fellow defenders. Outfielders can go out, shortstops can go out and say, hey, he's tagging up. They'll take a peek over their shoulder and look back at first.
Grichuk has played a really nice center field when he's been in there for Pillar, most often when Pillar was injured. Big swing, but got it off the end of the bat. Sounded like he might have cracked his bat, actually. 2 down.
Take on any project with Home Hardware, proud partner of the Toronto Blue Jays. Here's how.
Dan Shulman and Buck Martinez and Arash Madani on camp day here at the ballpark. No score, bottom second, and here's Russell Martin, who's back in the lineup today. He's at third base again. His 12th start of the season at third base. Danny Jansen doing the catching. And third base is a very interesting spot, obviously, for the Blue Jays now and going forward. We've seen Aledmus Diaz get some playing time there recently, and he has looked good. You got Hervé Solarte, who can play third. He's on the DL. Richard Ureña's played some third. There's Diaz, and John Gibbons was asked before the game about Diaz's play at third, and he's a big fan of what Diaz has done at third base in his few opportunities there. And without being asked this next part, Gibby then went on to say, quote, I think he can be a great super utility player. He could play second. He can play short, obviously. He looks really good at third.
7 players have made starts at third base for the Blue Jays this season. Solarte's made the most at 73. Donaldson, of course, was supposed to be the everyday third baseman. Injuries have kept him from doing that.
And a fastball for strike 3 called to get Martin. 6 up, 6 down so far for Hess. It's a game changer. Get ready for a refined travel experience. Visit 787.westjet.com to see the whole story. WestJet flight deck. Lots of folks in it here on this Wednesday afternoon. No score going to the top of the third in the first big league start for young left-hander Thomas Pannone. He's hit a batter, walked a batter, has not given up a hit yet. Neither team's got a base hit yet. And there's John Andreoli, recently picked up off waivers by the Orioles from the Mariners. 28-year-old outfielder. He's DHing today. Went 1 for 3 last night in his Baltimore debut.
Yeah, he can run a little bit, and he just has the ability to hustle up the line. An infield hit last night, and you got to be quick if you're an infielder and you get a ground ball, especially if it's not that sharply hit.
After Andreoli, Austin Wins, the catcher and number 9 hitter, and then back to the top of the order for Cedric Mullins. Again, a swing and a miss on a fastball at 90.
Yeah, and we have seen this over the last few years with Marco Estrada and Jay Happ, especially fastballs up in the zone. There's a little extra skip to them. They look very hittable, but you just never get on it.
Foul tip. First strikeout of the afternoon for Pannone.
Again, I can't emphasize how important it is the fact that Pannone works quickly. He's keeping the pressure on the hitters, and he keeps working quickly, and then he elevates this fastball. That's a perfect illustration of four-seam spin and the finish on that fastball up and away. Thomas is very quiet, but there's an inner beast inside of him that loves to compete.
John Gibbons was saying his hopes for today are that Pannone throws strikes, and tossed around the possibility of 5 innings. He's been in the bullpen for a while, so maybe not quite fully stretched out like he was when he was starting on a regular basis down in the minors. But I would think if he's going well that, 80 to 85 pitches is certainly realistic today. Wins the catcher, hitting .281.
As we mentioned, Wins hit his first big league home run here off of Tyler Clippard on June 7th. He's 27 years old. It's not like he's a kid, young prospect. He came out of Fresno State out in California. Taking him a while to get this opportunity in the big leagues. But you see, as soon as Pannone gets the ball back from the catcher, he's standing on the rubber waiting for the next sign, and it's just a great message he's sending to the hitters. There's no messing around. He's not kicking at the rosin bag. He wants to pitch. You know, it's so difficult to say, well, John, what do you expect from Thomas Pannone? He doesn't know. We don't know. Pannone is an unknown factor. We've seen him throw a few times, but as far as how he's going to control his emotions, how he's going to control the game, how he's going to throw strikes, you know, these are all things we're going to see on the fly. We've already seen how he handles a base runner at first base. Jonathan Villar was hit by a pitch and Pannone picked him off, and he showed him 3 different moves. And the final move was a step off and a quick toss to first to pick off Villar, a veteran base runner.
Late call, but it's strike 3 called at the knees. Went with a changeup there to get Wins 2 down. Let's go back down to Arash.
Well, Dan, Buck was talking about the fiery personality of Pannone. I spoke with Ryan Borucki today, his spring training roommate, and Borucki said, look, he's not going to show it on the mound, but he is one fired up guy. Borucki said he doesn't want to reveal his emotions, but that Pannone is a dude who does not want to lose.
Keeping those emotions inside today, pitching very well. Mullins with a fly ball to center. Grichuk there, 3 up, 3 down. No score going to the bottom of the 3rd.
Manchester United. Brighton travels to Anfield to face Liverpool. That's Saturday, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific on both Sportsnet and Sportsnet World. Dan?
All right, Arash, thank you. Bottom of the 3rd, no score. The Blue Jays and the Orioles here on camp day at the ballpark, as you can see. Kids all over the place here at Rogers Center today. Teoscar Hernandez will lead it off for the Jays. Down to the 7th spot. He has been struggling lately. Hasn't started either of the last 2 games. 4 for his last 29. Well, it's been all over the internet recently. All the teams have just released their schedules, Buck, for 2019. And I don't know a group of people that likes a schedule more than baseball broadcasters. Everybody loves to know where they're going, and fans love to plan ahead. And the Blue Jays have released their 2019 schedule. They will begin at home on March 28th. Again, a Thursday start. 4-game series against the Tigers, then 3 against Baltimore. If you're wondering about Seattle, it's at the end of August, August 23rd, 24th, 25th. It's a weekend series. Mile-high pop-up. And Beckham is there, one down. And in terms of interleague play, the division the Blue Jays will see next year is the National League West. And the Blue Jays will be going to San Francisco, Colorado, and Dodger Stadium, with Arizona and San Diego coming here to Rogers Center.
Yeah, it'd be great to go to Dodger Stadium again. I don't know that the Blue Jays have played there. I can't remember the last time they went to Dodger Stadium, but it's certainly a great trip. LA and then Seattle on the same trip. That's a pretty special road trip in August.
And actually the Giants are also coming here. I said the Blue Jays are going there. It's 2 games in San Francisco and 2 games here, so that's their home and home partner, if you will.
That's one of my favorite ballparks of all, is San Francisco AT&T Park, as that'll be a Tuesday Wednesday affair, probably Wednesday afternoon in San Francisco, and then the Blue Jays will go to Chicago for a 4-game series.
Season ends with a homestand against Baltimore and Tampa Bay. And the Blue Jays, from what we understand, on their first road trip, they go to Cleveland and then Boston. And in Boston, that's the Red Sox home opener, April the 9th.
Yeah, they have 2 off days in Boston, Monday and then Wednesday, so they can make sure that if there's a rain delay on Tuesday or a postponement, they'll have an opportunity for that opening day on the 10th.
So there you go. Plan accordingly. Plan ahead. Full count on Danny Jansen. Fly ball to left. And plenty of room out there for Gentry to make the catch. 2 down.
The 2018 Honda CR-V, where style and versatility come together.
With Buck Martinez and Arash Madani, I'm Dan Schulman. No score, bottom of the 3rd. As the Blue Jays wrap up this series with the Orioles, trying to sweep them, is Richard Urania getting another chance to play. He's now started 7 of the last 8 games, again because of injuries. He's up in the big leagues with guys like Solarte and Gurriel out. Gurriel likely back Friday against Philadelphia. And Urania's had some pretty competitive at-bats over the last few days.
He sure has, and he's been able to hit the ball sharply to left field. He fired out deep to left field in the game last night in the 2nd inning, and got a base hit to right field in the 4th inning. He also walked.
Lines 1 to right field, but right at Jones, and that's all, as David Hess has set down the first 9 Blue Jays he has faced this afternoon.
In Toronto, and he revealed 2 things today. The first, he wasn't sure if he'd make it back this season. The other, he suffered the finger injury in a freak accident deal where his knuckle and finger jammed on a suitcase handle. And because Sanchez has never pitched in the pros at home in Southern California, he went out the next night in Anaheim and pitched, and in retrospect admits he probably should have rested it. Now, Sanchez says he is all systems go now, that he could start Saturday. He mainly worked on his off-speed pitches and rehab starts, was a little reluctant early to use the changeup, but all of that is behind him as he hopes to get the ball this weekend, guys.
Well, we knew there was something up in Anaheim. He came in for that game, and the first warm-up pitch he threw it back to the backstop and missed by about 6 feet, and that was kind of a red flag. And you're right, he injured that finger and probably shouldn't have made that start, but hopefully he can finish up healthy and get enough starts down the stretch to put his mind at ease going into the offseason.
And again, all systems go after the side session tomorrow, and he should start on Saturday against Philadelphia.
Now the pieces are all starting to come back in place. You mentioned Gurriel, more than likely will be back Friday. And everybody says, well, how are you going to play everybody? Well, you know what? The manager's going to play the guys that are hot as far as position players. And he said, yeah, I'd like to get everybody in there, but somebody's going to lose playing time. Gurriel's going to play.
Yeah. Well, Urania probably gets sent back out when Gurriel gets activated, so you've still got the same number of infielders. Just somebody sits every day like they are right now, like the Diaz sitting. Where it really gets tricky, there's Drury on the right. When Drury gets healthy, if Solarte gets healthy, if Donaldson gets healthy, now you got a ton of guys, but wait and see. Could take a while. Everybody healthy, it's a logjam in the infield.
Well, I think that's one thing that I've never experienced in the major leagues as a player, as a manager, as a broadcaster. A manager calls the GM and says, hey, I got too many good players down here. But that's a good thing. That's when things get better. Competition breeds success. There's no question about it. Starting to get competition in the big leagues, competition in the minor leagues, and it's going all the way down into rookie ball.
And a swing and a miss. Another strikeout for Pannone, his third.
Again, it's all about location and command. And if you're not going to blow people away with a great fastball in the upper 90s, again, a four-seam fastball. Look at the spin on that fastball. And he missed it by about 3 inches as he swung underneath it. For me, that tells me that the ball is carrying very well, because you normally anticipate a little drop from a fastball, but that one stayed right on plane.
Trey Mancini grounded out his first time up. Neither team has a hit so far today as the Orioles bat at the top of the 4th.
Boy, another thing that happens when you have a start like this from your pitcher, the umpire gets into the flow of the game as well. He anticipates strikes, and that's a good thing. And hitters have to swing at borderline pitches.
And you love to see what Pannone's doing with his fastball. The second pitch of the at-bat was away. The third pitch was in. He's not just pitching to one side. Like a lot of lefties who don't throw that hard, he usually stays away for the right-handed batters. But we've seen Jansen ask him to come in as well. Now going away with a changeup. And a ground ball to short. Circling around it a bit is Urania, and on to first in plenty of time.
Weak contact on an 0-2 pitch. It's a changeup in a good spot, and all Mancini can do is hit a weak grounder to short. You know, it's a very small sampling, but what we have seen today is very encouraging from Thomas Pannone.
Hit a batter with a curveball in the first, walked a batter with a 1 out in the second, and that's it. Here's Adam Jones with 2 down and the bases empty. Jones transitioning to right field for the Orioles with Cedric Mullins coming up. And again, it'll be interesting to see what Jones's situation is in the offseason. A very accomplished player, but a guy in his 30s. And guys who have been at a similar stage of their career as Jones is now, last couple of years, are not getting the contracts they thought they got or thought they would get. And you know, whether he's out there looking for a chance to win or for one last big deal, or whether he wants to stay in Baltimore because he's been there so long, who knows what's at the top of his list right now.
Yeah, this is his 11th season with the Orioles. He had parts of 2 seasons with the Mariners early in his career. But it's well known that he turned down an opportunity to be traded before the July 31st trade deadline and did not waive his 10-5 rights. 10-5 rights. If you have 10 years in the majors in the last 5 years with the same team, you could veto a trade, and he chose to do that.
On the appeal, didn't go. 3-1.
And everybody says, well, why wouldn't he want to go to a pennant race? He said it wasn't a good fit for me. They were talking about me being a platoon player. in right field. He's never been a platoon player. He's been a everyday player every day since he's arrived in Baltimore.
And Pannone walks him. 2-out base runner. Let's send it down to Arash again.
Well, Dan, I spoke with Jones about exactly that, the potential of hitting free agency. He said, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the recruiting process and hearing what other teams have to say. He said, when I signed my last deal 6 years ago, that was a sole decision. Now, my wife is in the mix. I have 2 sons who are 4 and 2. He said, I don't know the direction of the Orioles franchise after this year. He said, if I'm not here after this year, that's the direction the franchise wants to go. But Jones also said he wants to win. So some mixed messages there from the Baltimore veteran.
Well, if winning is his #1 priority, it doesn't look like that's going to happen soon in Baltimore. And they're starting a rebuilding process, but obviously there's a long way to go, and they don't appear to have a lot of depth at the minor league levels right now, though they picked up a lot of players with the Machado and other trades that they made last month. That is pulled foul. 1-1 the count on Tim Beckham.
Adam Jones is from San Diego, and he had a couple of very good mentors early in his career. The late Tony Gwynn and Mark McLemore, who took him under his wing and talked to him about being a professional, how you set up yourself financially for your career, and he's done that very well. So he makes a lot of real good, well-informed decisions, and I'm sure that the decision he makes as to where he ends up is going to be based on what he said, his family situation and who he's dealing with.
Do you think his days of being an everyday center fielder are over, though? Do you think any team will offer him a spot?
Probably. I think he's probably going to have to play a corner outfield position, but he brings it every single day, and he's got these leadership qualities everybody is looking for. But he's probably not an everyday center fielder anymore.
1-2. Changeup down and in. Most lefties who throw changeups, the ball will fade kind of down and away from a righty, but Pannone's looks like it can go both directions. Sometimes it moves down and in on a righty, almost like it's a slider.
Yeah, there's a little bit of cut action to it from time to time, and that's not a bad thing.
Fastball pulled down to third. Martin to a knee, and the short way to second to force the runner. And that's all for the Orioles in the top of the 4th. It's still scoreless.
Team shop for the Toronto Blue Jays. You can visit them at the Toronto Eaton Center, Rogers Center gates 1 and 5, and every in-stadium kiosk. JaysShop.ca. You can also find them there or by calling 1-877-JAYS-SHOP. I saw a Gurriel Jr. jersey in there today, Dan. He could return Friday from that rehab assignment in Buffalo.
All signs pointing towards that happening, Arash, as Gurriel likely will be back on Friday. Aaron Sanchez could start Saturday. And all of a sudden, it's happened. A lot has changed in the last couple of weeks. Pannone starting today. Here's Billy McKinney, picked up on the trade with the Yankees. Gurriel on his way back. Danny Jansen promoted to the big leagues. And the August-September 2018 Blue Jays might resemble a lot what we're going to see in 2019.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of these names down the road with the Blue Jays. And Billy McKinney, he'll turn 24 tomorrow. So he's a young guy that's got some skills.
Second time today, he hits a ground ball sharply, but hits it at somebody, and Mancini makes the play. John Gibbons, after the game last night, when he was asked about McKinney, who hit his first big league home run last night, Gibbons mentioned that, but then he spoke in greater detail about the walk that he worked off the lefty, which was the plate appearance you and I were just really interested in, because it was a great at bat. I mean, there were some tough pitches that he fouled off, and Scott throws hard, and McKinney was really happy to get a chance to stay in there and hit against the lefty.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. You got to find out what you have, and you have a new guy into your organization. You don't know a lot about him. I like his approach. He chokes up, tries to put the bat on the ball. Not impressed with home runs, but doesn't sacrifice any power. So that's always a good thing to see a young player like that. Says, you know what, I don't care if it's not sexy looking. I'm going to choke up so I can control the barrel of the bat.
If you look at his minor league numbers, some power, a decent on base percentage, will take a walk, and occasionally now, every now and again, you hear a conversation about, well, who's the leadoff hitter of this team going to be next year? And who knows who it's going to be. But, you know, if McKinney is on the team and if he's playing against righties, I don't think he'd be out of place up there in the leadoff spot. At times, of course, in his career, Devin Travis has done it. At times, Kevin Pillar has done it as Travis strikes out. A lot this year. Curtis Granderson has done it against righties. Randall Grichuk has done it some against lefties, although he seems better suited to hit down in the middle of the lineup. But I don't know that they've got a prototypical leadoff hitter jumping out at them right now.
I think the last prototypical leadoff hitter they had was Ben Revere back in 2015. A guy that had some speed, had the ability to get on base, got a lot of hits. But in this day and age, there are very few of those typical leadoff type hitters.
I mean, remember, Jose Bautista was doing it for a while near the end of his tenure here in Toronto.
It's just not a different, it's not a strict definition of those roles anymore. When you look at the guys that have led off for the Blue Jays, Granderson, Hernandez, Grichuk, Pierce led off. Travis led off 5 times. Gurriel's done it twice. Solarte, McKinney, Martin, and Smith. I mean, they have had a wide variety of guys make their starts in the leadoff spot of the order.
If you're looking for a guy in the minors who draws a lot of walks, a guy who's on the map, Kevin Biggio might be your guy. He's walked 94 times this year. He's an on-base percentage of .402, but he's a ways away still. Did he go? Doesn't look like it. No appeal. So it's 2 balls, 2 strikes on Justin Smoke. Now the appeal, and he didn't go.
Very close, but goes in Smoke's favor.
The 2-2.
You know, that check swing, there's no definition of what a swing is. And baseball has been so particular about improving the rules, and video replays been introduced into the game. I think if you could actually say, if the bat is parallel to the opposite foul line, that's a swing. That'd be a good barometer for the umpires.
Smoke strikes out, and we're at the end of 4. Still no score in this game. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Here are Jamie Campbell and Joe Siddall in the Samsung broadcast studio.
MLB.TV is now available at a lower price. For $49.99, you can watch every out-of-market regular season game, plus get a free subscription to MLB At Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV to take advantage of this deal. You won't be seeing Aroldis Chapman on MLB.TV. He left with pain in his left knee. The Yankees closer, there's some concern there with that same spot as he felt before, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely some concern. Didi Gregorius is on the DL. Aaron Judge is still out. Gary Sanchez is still out. CC Sabathia is out, but he's coming back soon. And the Yankees, they've actually made up a little bit of ground on the Red Sox because the Red Sox are struggling. The Yankees are right back at Boston at the moment, but there's not that much time left. 37 games left in the season. The Yankees in possession of the first wild card spot right now. Meanwhile, Thomas Pannone just threw the 70th pitch of his first major league start. He has not given up a hit yet. David Hess of the Orioles has not allowed a base runner yet. 2 walks, 1 hit batter, 3 strikeouts for Pannone as he faces Craig Gentry to begin the 5th. Well located there, 1-2.
Trying to come inside, and he delivers a pretty good pitch right on the inner half of the plate, and Gentry couldn't pull the trigger on that fastball. Elevates, but that one got away from him. I think the difference between pitching in the minors and pitching in the majors, and Pannone was concerned about that. When you make a mistake up here, oftentimes it's going to get hit. You can get away with mistakes in the minors because you're not facing the great hitters you are on a regular basis here. 1 through 9 are big league hitters. So you make a mistake, leave a ball out over the plate or don't get a breaking ball down, it's going to get hit. That's why we talk about it often. I think the finishing off of talent, it has to occur in the major leagues because of the opposition. You can have all the success you want down in the minor leagues, and Sean Reed Foley's another example of that. He was 12-4 in the minor leagues and came up and had a couple of rough outings. But you have to have the opportunity to face major league hitters to see what's going to work to get them out.
Remember, too, the minor league season, unless the team makes the playoffs, it ends on Labor Day. So the minor league season doesn't have that long left at any level. Lifted in the air to left center field. This is a long run for Grichuk, and he is there to make the grab, 1 down.
You see Randall Grichuk cruising in the outfield. He was the everyday center fielder for St. Louis a couple of years ago, so he's quite comfortable out there, and he has all the attributes you want. He's got speed, he gets a good jump, he's got a good arm in center field. Well, when you put Villar in center and Grichuk in right, you've got those 2 positions covered very effectively.
1 down for Nunez, who popped up his first time. Infielders playing him slightly to pull. Outfielders straight away as Pannone misses just low, ball 1. The Blue Jays will see the Orioles again next week in Baltimore. After the series here against Philadelphia, the Blue Jays get on a plane and have a road trip to Baltimore and Miami.
And then it will be September.
Blue Jays still have 6 games after today left with the Orioles, all of them in Baltimore. The Jays are 9-0 against the Orioles here, 11-1 against the Orioles overall on the season. 3-1.
Pannone taking just a little bit more time after missing with that pitch down and away, just to remind himself, okay, trust your mechanics, get back into your delivery, throw a strike right here.
He does, and it's popped back out of play, 3-2.
To be a good starting pitcher, you got to be your own pitching coach. You have to be able to make adjustments on the fly, and when you throw one pitch, you have to get the feedback from that one bad pitch and make the necessary adjustments to follow it up with a good one.
Left center field. Grichuk there. 2 down.
This 4K broadcast is brought to you by the Samsung QLED TV. See nothing else.
Well, we got ourselves an old-fashioned pitcher's duel going on right now at the ballpark. There has not been a base hit in this game either way. No score. Orioles, Blue Jays, Pannone and Hess. Both pitching great. And it's a busy half inning for Randall Grichuk. All 3 putouts for the center fielder. We go bottom 5. Still no score. The TD Zone, a guest from one of TD's community partners. Nice crowd here at the ballpark. Camp day at Rogers Center. Tons of kids, and we hope they like good pitching, because that's what they're seeing so far. Nothing but zeros on the scoreboard as we go bottom 5. Let's see if Kendrys Morales can change that.
Morales has homered in 3 straight games, and that ties his career high for home runs in consecutive games, and he's swinging the bat so well. If he gets a fastball here, he's liable to come through with a big hit. Another breaking ball, and they know that. He's been all over the fastballs he has seen from the Orioles in this series.
Not only has David Hess retired all 12 he's faced, he's doing it efficiently as well. He's only at 48 pitches, looking for his 13th out. Morales got a base hit. Found a hole on the right side. First hit for either team today. When you're hot, you're hot.
Kendrys coming into this game 11 for 19 in his 6-game hit streak. This will extend that streak for 7 straight. They play him in the shift, but he hit it in the perfect spot. Gets it past Villar into right field.
So the first base runner of the day for the Blue Jays. Leadoff man aboard here in the 5th, and here's Randall Grichuk. Retired on a fly ball to center field his first time up.
Grichuk's had a good season against the Orioles this year, coming into this game batting .351 with 4 home runs.
Swings through that high fastball, 1-1.
Hess with the same type of fastball as Pannone, 91-92. But he is able to locate it very effectively, and he's neutralized these Blue Jay bats to this point. curveball is about the same velocity as Panone's. I think Panone's is a little bit more of a bigger break on his curveball than that of Hess.
High strike call, 2-2 on Grichuk.
I really enjoy watching pitchers like Hess and Panone neutralize lineups because they don't have that overpowering fastball and they have to mix their pitches. More importantly, they have to locate their pitches.
Popped up near second, and it's back on the shortstop there to make the grab, one down to bring up Russell Martin. And even when things haven't been going well in terms of getting hits for Martin, he has been taking his walks and he's been on base 16 consecutive games. That's the third longest, tied for the third longest active streak in the American League.
Yeah, you see Bregman at 19, Stanton at 17, and Russell Martin. And Paul Goldschmidt of the Diamondbacks leads baseball with 26 straight games reaching base.
And Martin pops one up. It'll be Nunez coming down from third, taking charge, 2 down.
Kind of a breezy day here with the roof open, and there's a lot of hesitation, a lot of stutter stepping on this field with the defenders fighting those pop-ups. Nunez kind of got a late break and has hung out there just in case, but you can see the banners being blown around. And he goes in, comes in, he calls for it, you got to wait for it, but the wind has been playing tricks on these infielders.
About the coolest day we've had in a long time here in Toronto. It was 22 degrees at game time. And as Buck said, a little bit breezy, so it's playing a little bit different today. Here's Teoscar Hernandez, popped up his first time up.
You just get a sense that somebody's going to run into a home run, and that's going to be the first runs of this game. The Blue Jays have really played a tune on the Orioles pitchers in this series. They've hit 6 home runs in this series, including 4 yesterday.
Morales at first, 2 down now. Mancini playing behind him. And a check swing foul off by Hernandez, 0-2. But an interesting year for Teoscar. Started the year with the minors and then came up and became an instant fan favorite. Hit like crazy. Cooled off some with the bat, ran into some defensive problems, and now probably trying to regain some confidence and get back to where he was earlier in the year. And dealing with more competition out in the outfield right now.
Yeah, and that's going to really depend on how you're doing as an individual as to how much playing time you get.
Swing and a miss, and Hess strikes him out. So the base hit by Morales is stranded. We're at the end of 5, and there's still no score. And so far so good, Buck, to say the least.
Yeah, he hit Villar in the first inning and then picks him off to erase that, and he has been able to elevate the fastball very effectively. He's made good pitches with all 3 of his pitches. To this point, Pannone has 3 strikeouts. The fastball has been his bread and butter pitch. He's able to get Villar to swing at that high fastball. but he has absolutely been in total control of his emotions. He had a little bit of a rocky first inning only by the fact that he hit the second batter of the game. 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, just 83 pitches through 5 innings in his first major league start. He's been impressive. Look at this. He's making his warm-up pitches to start the 6th, and he threw a couple of pitches out of the stretch just to make sure. He hasn't had many base runners on, so he wanted to make sure he gets into the stretch, throws a couple of pitches before he starts this inning. He used a great pickoff move to nail Villar at first base in the first inning. Threw him a couple conventional pickoffs and then stepped off the rubber and threw quickly from the side to pick him off.
He'll face Austin Wynns, Cedric Mullins, and Jonathan Villar. 9-1-2 in the Baltimore lineup. Here as we go to the 6th. No score in this game. Blue Jays winning 5-3 on a Monday night, 8-2 last night. Wynns called out on strikes his first time up. You would imagine no matter what goes on for Pannone as he gets into the 90s, that maybe the bullpen gets going. There's a liner to left center, diving attempt, and Grichuk caught it. What a terrific catch on a sinking liner out in left center field.
Everybody knows what's going on here in this ballpark. The Orioles don't have a hit yet, and Grichuk has made a couple of good running catches, and right here he takes one away from Austin Wynns. That line drive sinking into center field. He's got his thumb underneath that ball before it hits the turf. Great concentration by Grichuk. That ball is sinking, and he clearly made the catch and then holds it up for the umpire to have a good look at it.
What a play by Grichuk. 1 down here in the 6th inning. Here's Cedric Mullins. He's going to try to bunt his way on. Pannone has it. 2 down.
Yeah, everybody knows the story that's unfolding here for Pannone, and he himself being a former position player, good athlete, gets off the mound, makes a good play on Mullins.
Well, he threw that ball to first, I think, as hard as he's thrown any pitch to the plate today. And he's gotten 2 outs on only 3 pitches here in the 6th inning. Here's Jonathan Villar. We can see through the open fence in the Blue Jay bullpen a couple of relievers stretching or just limbering up. Again, he's at 87 pitches right now, and he hasn't started in a while. 4 relief appearances for the Blue Jays. His last start was down in the minors. Ground ball to third. Martin has it, and that's all. 5 pitches, 3 outs for Thomas Pannone.
Automotive Group 500 goes Saturday on Sportsnet 1 and Sportsnet 360, but the sports thoughts are with the Canadian Robert Wickens, who last week was in a serious crash at Poconos. He underwent surgery yesterday. He's reportedly in stable condition. They have put rods and screws in his spine, and you just hope for a good recovery for the kid from Guelph, guys.
Absolutely, Rash. A horrific crash, and everybody's sending him their best. No score here, bottom of the 6th. Orioles and the Blue Jays. There's been just one hit in the game that belongs to Kendrys Morales to lead off the 5th. Here's Danny Jansen. And a tapper towards third. Nunez on the run, makes the throw, one down. Well, one of the reasons why the Orioles don't have a hit yet was a spectacular diving catch by Randall Grichuk out in center field, and Thomas Pannone over to say, thanks, buddy. And John Gibbons just walking right by Pannone in his first big league start, pretending he doesn't even notice him in the dugout. Here's Richard Urania.
Yeah, Grichuk made a fine catch at Pannone. Not a whole lot of celebration, just a, hey, attaboy. Nice job. Turned around and went back and sat down on the bench.
Urania with a fly ball to right field his first time up. The hit allowed by Hess to Morales is the only base runner the Blue Jays have today. So we have two pitchers pitching extraordinarily well here this afternoon.
Which is an extraordinary situation.
Yes.
Especially the way these two teams have hit in the past. And the Blue Jays right now are a hot team swinging the bats.
And Urania chases a ball in the dirt, wins out from behind the plate down to first, 2 down.
The 2018 Civic Type R, like no Honda you've ever seen.
Nice day, cool day down here on the shores of Lake Ontario. Roof open at Rogers Center. Dan Schulman to Buck Martinez, Arash Madani. 0-0. Bottom of the 6th, 2 down to the bases empty for leadoff man Billy Mckinney. Was grounded out twice. Hit the ball sharply both times, once to second, once to first. I asked him if he always chokes up on the bat like he did last night. He said he'll vary it from time to time, but you can see even now he's doing it, and he says he's never had like his pinky finger over the knob of the bat or anything like that, and at times he'll choke up a little bit more, but it looks like he always chokes up to a certain degree.
Yeah, I think hitters, they get a sense for where they need to be on the bat handle according to what they're facing in a given day, and this seems to be the most standard grip for Billy Mckinney. Then you get a little bit more velocity. You might choke up a little bit more to get better command of that barrel.
Certainly didn't hurt the 411-foot home run that he hit last night.
Yeah, I don't think you give up any power, and obviously you can control where that barrel is more consistently by choking up on the bat handle. Barry Bonds always choked up on the bat handle. I asked him one time, how come you choke up so much? He said, because when my dad used to bring bats home, they were 37 inches long, and we were kids, and we had to choke up to swing them. And he got so comfortable. That's the way he did it the rest of his career.
2-2.
Take a look at the first major league home run by Billy Mckinney occurred last night, and there's no need to hit it any further than he hit it. So he can choke up on the bat all he wants to, as long as you get the barrel to the baseball in a good spot. His teammates celebrating before he got back to dugout, and then they were going to ignore him because they recognized it was his first big league home run.
And a high strike 3 call to get McKinney and end the inning. Through 6, no score.
was that they'd get 4, maybe 5 innings from this 24-year-old making his first big league start today. Thomas Pannone came into it believing the jitters were gone. After all, he had 4 relief outings in the majors, and even in spring training, he was in big league camp. Pannone told me seeing how my stuff played against hitters in the show gives me a lot of confidence. And now here he is, top 7, 88 pitches in, and Pannone has yet to give up a hit. Guys?
And Arash needed only 5 pitches to get the 3 outs in the 6th inning as he starts the 7th against Trey Mancini. 3-4-5 coming up for the Orioles. Nobody up in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. And now it looks like a little activity is beginning. And again, Pannone's making his first start in a while. He's at 90 pitches right now. And it looks like Joe Biagini's going to start to throw down in the bullpen. And there is the first hit of the afternoon for the Orioles. And the crowd realizing it and giving Pannone a nice round of applause.
6 innings of no-hit ball in his first big league start. Pretty impressive outing for Thomas Pannone. It's just another changeup, and it found a hole on the left side, gets into the outfield, and you can see just a little changeup, and it's deflating. You can see Pannone's reaction, but behind him, Danny Jansen kind of slapped his thigh as if to say, man, we were doing something special, and they have.
And now Ryan Tepera has joined Joe Biagini. And realistically, Pannone was not going to be able to finish a no-hitter. I mean, at 90 pitches, as he was facing his first batter in the 7th, I don't think there's any way the Blue Jays would have let him throw 120, 125 pitches in this game. He would have had to have been extremely efficient to have any kind of a chance. Now, liner to left field. Hernandez reaches up, and it's in and out of his glove. Mancini to third and Jones into second as the troubles continue for Teoscar Hernandez in the outfield.
Well, we talked about how the ball clubs both have powerful hitters in the lineup, and Pete Walker's going to go out and have a look at it. And Teoscar just kind of drifted back. That ball took off on him. It's a breezy day, and we talked about how that has affected the ball in the air. But that's the ball you got to really get back on quickly. Jones has got a lot of power. It's a low liner, and he reaches up, goes off of his glove all the way to the fence. Mancini ends up at third. Jones ends up at second. And now there are runners at second and third and nobody out. So Walker, the veteran pitching coach, sensed, hey, you know what? I got to go out and talk to Pannone. He's given up his first hit. And now there's an error in the outfield, and I got to just get back to Pannone and say, hey, man, okay, you've done a great job. Let's make another good pitch, and let's get out of this situation.
7th error committed by Teoscar Hernandez this season. It's second and third, nobody out. And the Blue Jays kind of playing it halfway on the infield right now with Tim Beckham the batter. A swing and a miss, 0-1. 88 on the fastball. Pannone's been sitting at about 89-90 for most of the game today. Tepera, Biagini continuing to throw in the bullpen.
There's no reason for Pannone to do anything different now that he has runners in scoring position. What he has done all afternoon has worked very well. So keep making your pitches, keep elevating that fastball. He can throw the breaking ball now. Hasn't used an awful lot of breaking balls today. Elevated to fastball. He might have missed his spot. Jansen was set up to the inside part of the plate. He missed up and away, but he had enough life on it to get the swing and miss from Beckham. Dane Johnson delivering the message. Tepera's got one guy. Biagini might have another guy. That's interesting.
Or could depend on the score, right? If it's
I think it depends on the hitter. I mean, what type of hitter you have. When you look at the next couple of hitters, Gentry is a guy that could possibly bunt in this scoreless game. So you might have Tepera in that situation, who's a little better fielder than Biagini.
One and two, the count on Beckham. And there's a curveball. As you mentioned, we haven't seen a whole lot of them today from Pannone.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be afraid to go another curveball right here. After he missed with that curveball, it's really fresh in his mind what it feels like. So come right back and throw it again. You might get a swing and miss from Beckham, just because he hasn't seen many of them. He's got fastball and changeup on his mind.
The 2-2. Ground ball down to third. Backhanded, stopped by Russell Martin, and he throws him out. The runners hold.
Boy, Russell has really played well at third base, and he looks like he's been there his whole life. He takes that hot shot to the backhand, and then is able to look the runner back and throw him out. The Super Slow-Mo Cam is brought to you by the Samsung Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus, the camera reimagined. Available now. Russell Martin playing the role of Brooks Robinson over at third base, and he has really looked comfortable at third, playing with a lot of confidence, and he's got that strong arm. No issue at all throwing across the diamond. First out of the inning.
And the batter now, Craig Gentry, the left fielder, 0 for 2 on a couple of fly balls. Infield is all the way in right now for the Blue Jays with one out, as it's fouled straight back by Gentry, 0-1.
As we mentioned, Gentry can bunt as Pannone has hit the 100-pitch mark. So the infielders are always in already because of the runner at third. But Gentry can really bunt. He's very good at dropping a bunt down. They could play squeeze. They could play safety squeeze. They have a lot of options here.
Change up low, a ball and a strike. Over 100 pitches now for Pannone, who has given the Blue Jays everything they could have hoped for and more. Needless to say, 6 1/3, 1 hit. Took the no-hitter into the 7th inning. If you're just tuning in, Trey Mancini broke it up with a base hit to lead off this inning. And showed a lot of poise and composure out there. Up and away, 2 balls and a strike.
I know it's very early to make this judgment, but he certainly reminds me a lot of Jimmy Key. Same type of body, same type of composure on the mound. Doesn't rattle, pitches out of jams. Had that good curveball. Key had great command, like Pannone has illustrated here this afternoon. He and Jansen have been terrific working together.
Check swing back to the mound. Pannone's got it, looks the runner back, and makes the play. 2 down. Well, you talked about it earlier. He was an outfielder before he became a full-time pitcher, and he clearly is a good athlete who fields his position well.
Well, and he understands the game because he has been a position player. Watch how calmly he looks the runner back. Just looks, takes a couple of steps there, forces Mancini back to the bag, and throws to first, second out of the inning. I really like Walker going to the mound in that situation after he gave up the first hit of the ball game, and then the air was committed in left field. Pete said, let me go out here and talk to this young man and get him through the situation. And boy, so far it has really been terrific. 2 outs now and a chance to get out of it.
Trying to pitch around the air, committed by Teoscar Hernandez. When Pannone gets out of this, they gave him a nice ovation after the first hit. And granted, most of the people in the ballpark are kids today. It's camp day, so maybe they're not quite as in tune with what's going on here today. But they better give him a big ovation if he gets this 3rd out without surrendering a run. Renato Nunez, the third baseman, has popped up and flied out. No score in the 7th. Swing and a miss, 2-1.
Yeah, and if nothing more, I think Thomas Pannone has earned the right to pitch out of this inning. And even if Nunez walks, and yeah, he's getting near the end of the line. 106 pitches. But boy, what a performance in his first big league start.
And still getting swings and misses often with his fastball.
You can see he's a little more deliberate now. He's probably tiring a bit, but taking a little more time just to make sure he executes this next pitch.
And here comes the noise that Pannone deserves to hear, given the way that he's pitched this afternoon. Popped up. Martin is there, and what a job by Thomas Pannone. 7 one-hit scoreless innings in his first ever big league start. Telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. He deserves a smile. He has earned a smile with the job that he did today. We would assume done for the day, over 100 pitches. Thomas Pannone in his major league starting debut. 7 innings, 1 hit. Still sitting there alongside his catcher. And still no score in this game. Wouldn't it be nice, Buck, if the Jays could put some runs up and he could, whether he comes back or not, walk out of here with a W as well.
Score him a run now, and that's got to be the mantra on the bench. Hey, let's get him a run. He's done everything he can to help us win this game.
I think he's earned another start, don't you?
Yeah, but you're a baseball guy. I know.
Well, his next one, assuming he gets it 5 games from now, be against the Orioles again at the start of the road trip. Let's see how John Gibbons reacted when Pannone got out of it.
These are little things and little learning process that you always get a chance to experience. And there's Barucki right there, his roommate in the spring, to congratulate him for a job well done.
Teoscar Hernandez going over and
way to pick me up, man. And he did. Pannone picked up Hernandez that time. Oftentimes it's the defenders that will pick up a pitcher. That time Pannone picked up Hernandez.
Great stop at third by Nunez. Bounces it across, but squeezed by Mancini to retire Travis.
Mancini's a natural first baseman. He's made the transition to the outfield because Chris Davis is the incumbent playing first, but he can handle himself around the bag. Nunez makes a nice grab and then gives Mancini a tough short hop. And Hess acknowledges a good defensive play on both ends. It's been a nice ball game. Obviously, no score, just 2 hits in the game. Pitchers have been dominant.
As you said, Buck, in a game like this, more often than not, somebody runs into one, and that's how the first run is scored. And maybe Justin Smoak is that guy. As good a candidate as any on the Blue Jays side. Big crowd here today on Camp Day. Just announced 40,595 watching this game. 0-2 the count on Smoak, who's grounded out and struck out. Lifted to left field, hit pretty well. And just shy of the fence, Gentry's there, 2 down. Well, Pannone is still sitting there, but the bullpen is still active. And you'd have to guess that Ryan Tepera is coming in to start the 8th inning, but maybe they're going to give. We didn't see a handshake, I don't believe.
No.
So.
I think it's the 8-9-1 part of the lineup for the Orioles to start the top of the 8th inning. The StatCast AI powered by AWS, and we'll show you that shift. Beckham, the shortstop at straightaway second. Villar is in shallow right field. He's the second baseman, and Mancini's deep and hugging the line at first.
Back to Pannone for a moment as Kendrys Morales steps in. He's thrown 108 pitches today, and that's more than he has thrown in any start in the minor leagues this year. So we'll have to wait and see if he comes back out for the 8th. Good pitch there by Hess, locating right at the knees, and he jumps out in front of Kendrys, 1-2. Morales has the only hit for the Blue Jays today. Ground ball base hit through the right side in the 5th. Hess has been more efficient with his pitches. Has only faced 1 batter over the minimum. He's only thrown 83 right now. Morales drives another one. Deep right field. He's done it again. His 4th consecutive game with a home run, and the Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead.
First time in his career he has homered in 4 straight games, and we had talked about him coming into this game. He has the only 2 hits of the game, and now he has driven in the only run of the game. A long home run to right field, his 18th homer of the season. And Kendrys Morales has given Thomas Pannone that lead we were looking for.
So the youngsters got a chance to get a W here today. Now Randal Grichuk rips one down the left field line. That's a fair ball. Grichuk on his way to second and in there ahead of an errant throw with a double.
There's a breaking ball, and it stays up in this zone. Didn't have that sharp break that Morales faced earlier in the game, and it's right out over the plate, and he crushes it. And Pannone has a lead. Danny Jansen, his battery lead, says, okay, that's what we wanted. We're on the board, and Morales has given the Blue Jays a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, anybody else in the dugout can go, yeah, get this kid a W, but he himself can't go, yeah, get me. He's got to go a little bit quieter. Yeah, I'd like to get a W here, but Pannone can't over-celebrate in that kind of a moment. But what an incredible run Kendrys Morales has been on recently.
Pete Walker over to say something to him that made him laugh. That's awesome. What a great experience for a young man. Just 24 years old, making his first big league start. And he has 7 innings under his belt of 1-hit ball. Now he's got a lead.
Double by Grichuk. Now here's Russell Martin. Martin a strikeout and a pop-up. And a swing and a miss, 0-2.
As we mentioned, Russell's reached base in 16 straight games. And I tell you what, Russell's made some nice plays in support of Pannone over at third base. A couple of red stars in the book for Russell today, especially the Beckham hot shot in the top half of this inning.
Grichuk the lead out at second, 0-2 the count. And a fastball misses outside. Grichuk's got a red star today too for the grab that he made out in center field while the no-hitter was still going on.
Absolutely. A sinking line drive off the bat of Austin Wynns. That was a first batter in the sixth. That could have broken up the no-hitter.
Well, between the conversation from Walker and then the handshake and the laugh there with Stroman, it kind of feels like Pannone's done for the day. And again, Tepera is throwing.
Yeah, obviously his game face is off.
Yeah,
so he's
sure
been told that we're going to the pen.
Yeah.
You don't want to turn the emotions off until you've been told.
Diving stop again by Nunez at third, and he'll throw out Martin to end the inning. But there's finally a run on the home run by Kendrys Morales. Handshakes and hugs all the way around for Thomas Pannone on a job extremely well done. Tepera in from the pen. Brought to you by the 2018 Honda Odyssey with available Honda Vac. It always bats cleanup.
No score in the ball game, and Kendrys Morales gets a breaking ball out over the plate. His home run is his fourth home run in as many days. He has homered in 4 straight games, 102 miles an hour off the bat, 392 feet. Kendrys Morales now has a 7-game hit streak. He's 13 for 22 during the hit streak, and he has given Thomas Pannone a 1-0 lead.
And what a job by Thomas Pannone. First major league start, took a no-hitter into the 7th, walked 2, struck out 3, made a couple of good defensive plays, picked off a runner, and just looked in complete command today.
Boy, he sure did. He looked like a 10-year veteran with his composure and the way he pounded the strike zone inning after inning. Now it's over to Ryan Tepera, making his 55th appearance of the season.
Facing John Andreoli, the DH, number 8 hitter. And a bouncing ball fair, back of third. Long throw for Martin. Might not have been in time, even if it had been on line. And Andreoli is aboard to lead off the 8th inning.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dan. I think that was going to be a base hit. We had talked about Andreoli and how well he runs. Russell really did a good job of stabbing this ball. Watch the last bounce and how he has to stab at it because it kind of moved on him. And then he has to reach back for a little extra, and he pulls smoke off the bag. But that was a tricky hop. He handled very well. Andreoli runs very well, and he would have beat it out no matter what.
So the tying run aboard to lead off the 8th inning. And the batter now is Austin Wynns. Pretty good hole on the right side with Smoke holding on the runner. Outfielders play winds around to the opposite field as the breeze picks up a little bit here at the ballpark. I thought there was a chance, Buck, that we might see some changes in the outfield here in the 8th inning. That maybe Villar would go into center, Grichuk to right, Mckinney over to left.
We have seen it in the past.
Yeah, but Teoscar's still in there.
Villar's not in the starting lineup. Grichuk is playing center, so you thought in a 1-0 game there might be some defensive realignment.
That is just foul. Now Hernandez leads off the bottom of the 8th, which may have something to do with it, may have nothing to do with it, but another error committed today by Hernandez, and especially given how close the game is and how much they want to get a win for Pannone. Villar not in the starting lineup today. Granderson not in the starting lineup today.
Yeah, but you can see Kevin is moving around. He anticipates being into this game.
We're getting closer over there at first.
Yeah, you would anticipate that the Orioles might do something offensively. Now, what are the
Blue Jays might be considering whether they're going to have a look at this.
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing, is they were waiting on the video room to see whether or not they wanted to challenge that call at first.
1-0 8th inning, a home run by Kendrys Morales in the bottom of the 7th, the only run of the game. Tepera on in relief of Pannone. Infield hit by Andreoli to begin the 8th. And an 0-2 count now on Wins.
Andrew Castro and Ever Solarte were teammates in San Diego, so they have always gotten on one another. And Solarte got a lot of time for Andrew Castro, and the equal the save for Castro. They got into it a little bit in a friendly fashion in Baltimore early in the season. And they're having an ongoing conversation. This is the 3rd day in a row they've had this banter going back and forth from across the field.
Tepera and Jansen taking a while to agree on a pitch, so time is called. Now everybody ready to go again. Lead by Andreoli, and he draws another throw. Pretty good speed at first base. And another throw. It's the 4th throw over by Tepera.
Pannone picked off Villar in the 1st inning, and it was the 12th pickoff for the Blue Jays this season. That's among the leaders. Padres have picked off 19. Braves and the White Sox both have picked off 15. Tepera is pretty quick to first. Well, in a 1-run game, obviously you don't want to give that runner a big lead at first.
Well, you wonder if at some point, you talked about it early in the game, does Buck Showalter test the arm of Danny Jansen? Maybe not 2-2. I think he'd have him going 3-2. Not a straight steal there, obviously, but you wonder if Showalter puts him in motion here. He does not. And a swing and a miss to get him one down.
Beauty Tone is the official paint of the Toronto Blue Jays, only available at Home Hardware. Here's how.
Dan Shulman to Buck Martinez, Arash Madani. Nice afternoon. Camp day here at the ballpark, and the Blue Jays leading 1-0 in the 8th inning. Here's Cedric Mullins. Martin creeping in at 3rd. Mullins, a definite bunting possibility. Not here. Swing and a miss, 0-1.
Mullins has a little pop. He had a home run in the 5th inning in last night's game off Sam Gaviglio. A low liner into the bullpen in right. He's a tough guy to double up as well.
Oh, and 2. Do relievers feel, I mean, they always want to do as well as they can in relief of a starter, but do they feel a little bit more of a burden or responsibility, maybe is a better word, depending on the situation? Like, given how well Pannone pitched first major league start, a little bit more responsibility in the mind of Tepera. Hey, I really got to do a good job for this kid today.
Absolutely. You know what the kid has done. It's his first big league start. It's a 1-0 game, and you want to protect that. You want to protect it any time, but there's a little added incentive when it's a kid's first big league start. He took a no-hitter into the 7th inning. And everybody's aware. You saw the way the defense played in support of Pannone. Both Martin and Grichuk making terrific defensive plays. And I just think everybody in the ballpark knows what it is. And Morales connects home run in 4 straight games. Everybody's on their toes when you have a pitcher dealing the way Pannone was.
Inside to even it up at 2-2.
Another thing that helps a pitcher is the fact that he works quickly. Everybody anticipating each pitch being put into play, so they're all on their toes. You're going to get a much crisper game from your defense if you work quickly.
Pop back foul below us. The count remains 2-2. So Tepera at 12 pitches right now. Came on, gave up an infield hit, then struck out about her. Now 2-2 on Mullins. The only run of the game, the Morales homer. He has homered now in 4 consecutive games. The Blue Jay record for most consecutive games with a home run belongs to Jose Bautista at 5. So potentially a little franchise history on the line Friday night against Philadelphia. Runner goes. 2-2 up and in. Throw down and not in time. And somehow Andreoli kept the foot on the bag. So he steals the base, and the tying run moves into scoring position.
Yeah, you just sense that sooner or later the Orioles are going to test Danny Jansen behind home. Andreoli got a good jump, puts his head down, a straight steal all the way, and the throw is a little bit high into the shortstop side of the bag. But Andreoli's momentum almost took him off the base. He hooks it with his foot, and he's able to maintain contact with the bag.
And now upstairs, ball 4. So it's first and second with 1 out in a 1-0 game here in the 8th. And now some of the more experienced hitters for the Orioles are starting to come up. Jonathan Villar is the batter now. And Joe Biagini's going to get back up. Some of the roles in that bullpen kind of in a state of flux right now. Ken Giles has settled in as the closer for the Blue Jays, but we've seen Jake Petrichka pitch in higher leverage situations recently. Ryan Tepera, not today, but has come in earlier in games recently than he tends to. And he does not have his command right now.
Yeah, he got ahead of himself on that last pitch, and it was up and away. Just flying a little bit open, and what happens there is your arm drags through your delivery, and you can't finish the pitch and get it down in the strike zone.
Two 2-0, and the pitch. Yeah, he did. 2-1. Villar wanted the appeal, and the home plate umpire Dan Bellino said, "Don't need that. You went around."
Yeah, that was a hard breaking ball, and he anticipated getting a fastball.
Another tough guy to double up. Batting for the left side, good speed. Swing and a miss again, 2-2. Miguel Castro is up in the bullpen now for the Orioles. Former Blue Jay. 1-0 Jays, top 8. 3 hits for the Blue Jays, 2 for the Orioles. First and second, 1 out. And he got him. Big strikeout for Tepera for the second down.
Well, he came back with a couple of sliders to get back into the at-bat, and then he elevates that fastball and strikes out Villar. He got wins on a slider, and there's that grip on the two-seam fastball. A lot of life, a lot of late movement, and Villar swings and misses.
Quick meeting between Jansen and Tepera. 2 on, 2 out. Big situation here in the 8th inning. And the batter, Trey Mancini.
Mancini is 2 for 5 against Tepera with a home run. He got the first hit of the ball game for the Orioles. They have managed just 2.
Boy, look at the run on that fastball from Tepera. 0-1.
Trying to go down and away, but when you have good velocity and late movement, you can get away with mistakes. It's a good example of the difference between Thomas Pannone and Ryan Tepera. Pannone can ill afford to miss his spots, and he didn't miss many all afternoon. Tepera, because he throws hard and has electric movement, can miss his spots and still get away with it.
2 on, 2 out. And the 1-1 on the way. There for a strike, 1-2.
Now Tepera really has the upper hand. He's got that breaking ball in his back pocket. Mancini's seen fastball in and fastball away. So Tepera can throw either another fastball in or come with that slider and get the strikeout.
Went with the slider, little flare off the end of the bat, and a sliding catch made by Billy Mckinney in right field. Another good defensive play. The runners are stranded, and it remains 1-0 Blue Jays. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Here are Jamie Campbell and Cliff Floyd in the Samsung broadcast studio. Sliding catch to preserve the shutout bid, the collective team shutout bid, preserve the lead. Sunglasses down, picked it up just a little bit late, found it, and got there in time. Next game for the Blue Jays, Ryan Borucki will be on the mound as the Jays open up an interleague series with the Fightin' Phils on Friday night.
The Phillies will send Jake Arrieta to the mound. A great pitching matchup to start this series. Arrieta, of course, a terrific pitcher, and he'll go up against the rookie Ryan Borucki. And here is a former Blue Jay, Miguel Castro, making his 51st appearance. Castro is still just 23 years old. He debuted with the Blue Jays a couple of years ago. He was the closer coming out of spring training. Baltimore picked him up last year in an April deal, got him from Colorado. He was traded July 28, 2015 in his rookie season from Toronto to Colorado, part of that Troy Tulowitzki trade.
And here's Teoscar Hernandez to lead off the bottom of the 8th. He'll be followed by Danny Jansen and Richard Urania.
We certainly should not ignore the great effort by David Hess, the starter for the Orioles today. 7 innings, 3 hits, a single run, no walks, and 7 strikeouts. But he's on the wrong end of a 1-0 game. Saw Kevin Pillar on the bench, and more than likely he'll come in defensively.
Tepera is still in the dugout, but Ken Giles is now up in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. Story of the day, the outstanding performance by Thomas Pannone in his first big league start. As Hernandez pulls a ground ball deep in the hole at short, and he's got himself an infield hit. And as we mentioned last half inning, maybe the reason why they didn't sub him out in the top of the 8th was he was leading off the bottom of the 8th, and he pays it off with a base hit.
Leadoff single hit it into the hole at shortstop. Tim Beckham is able to get a glove on it, but he's not going to have a play as Teoscar legs it out for an infield single.
And it is indeed Ken Giles loosening up in the shadows down in the bullpen. So leadoff man aboard for the Blue Jays in Hernandez, and now here's Danny Jansen. Remember, Jansen has had a hit in all 6 of his big league games. Does not have one yet today. 0 for 2. He's always had a good arm, Castro.
Yeah, he sure has. And in 2015, he and Roberto Osuna made the team coming out of spring training, and Castro was the closer. And Osuna was just another member of the bullpen, but he didn't have the command that they wanted, and he always had a good arm. As I mentioned, he's still just 23 years old.
One ball, one strike to count on Jansen. And another throw to first. This time Hernandez back in standing up. The Blue Jays are looking for their 5th sweep of the season, and 2 of the previous 4 have come against the Orioles. The Orioles have not won a game in this ballpark this year. Good breaking ball, 1-2.
Yeah, his fastball slider, that's what you're going to get from Castro, and his fastball being the upper 90s, and he's always had that hard sweeping breaking ball. He appeared in 18 games in his rookie season as a 20-year-old with the Blue Jays, and then part of that trade to Colorado.
Hit hard, but way foul off the facing of the third deck. Man, that ball was smoked. Look at the Blue Jays sweeps. It includes a 2-gamer against the Royals back in April, and again a 4-game series against Baltimore here in June, 3-gamer against Baltimore here last month. Trying to add to the list. Villar is limbering up, so again we've got some circumstantial evidence that he may come in defensively in the 9th inning. We'll keep an eye on it. This one will bounce away, and Hernandez will take second on the wild pitch.
Well, a good read by Teoscar. That ball was headed in the dirt before it got the home plate, and he broke as soon as it hit the dirt. So he's able to move up. That takes the Blue Jays out of a possible double play situation. It gives them another runner in scoring position. Watch the base runner react. As soon as it's in the dirt and hits off the catcher, he's off and running towards second. Wild pitch will be charged to Castro.
And Urania waiting on deck. The count now full on Jansen. Checked it, and he takes ball 4 to draw the walk.
Super Slow-Mo Cam. Brought to you by Samsung Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus. The camera reimagined. Available now.
Bottom of the 8th inning here at Rogers Center with the Blue Jays with a 1-0 lead on the Orioles and a home run by Kendrys Morales. Who else? Back in the 7th. Outstanding performance by Thomas Pannone. 7 one-hit innings for him in his first big league start. Blue Jays looking for a little insurance. Urania squares, and the ball gets through the catcher to the backstop. Right through the wickets of Wins, and the runners will advance.
Boy, oh boy, a frustrating season for sure for Buck Showalter. Just the fundamental things of catching the baseball, blocking the ball in the dirt. And now that takes him out of a situation where the Blue Jays were going to bunt. Would have given him an out, and now you can bet the bunt will be taken off, and Urania will have a chance to swing away. Just a fastball, and Wins just whiffs on it. It goes right through his legs all the way back to the screen. I mean, we have seen this from the Orioles time and time again, how they just make mistakes, some physical, some mental, but it's been a disappointing season for the Orioles.
So now they've got to bring the infield in. No word on the scoring. We think it will be scored a wild pitch, but have not heard yet. And now Urania takes a little bit low. 1 ball and 1 strike. And it is indeed a wild pitch. So 2 wild pitches charged here in the 8th inning to Castro. This is when, if you're a guy like Urania and you want to show, you know, the bosses that you're developing as a player, don't try to do too much. Just try to execute. This will get it done. A fly ball to right field, and Jones is not going to get there. In to score Hernandez. Jansen had to wait to see if it would be caught by Jones. So he'll stop at third on an RBI double by Urania that makes it 2-0.
Well, you make a great point about Urania. He had an opportunity to make an impression on his coaches, managers, and his teammates. He picks up his 3rd double and picks up an RBI, and it's a huge second run in this low-scoring game. He stays on it, and that's a good swing in its situation. All he wanted to do is hit it to the outfield. He stayed on the pitch. He cut his swing down, and is rewarded with an RBI double that bounces off the fence and stays in the ballpark.
Having himself a pretty good week. 2-0 Blue Jays. 2nd and 3rd again. Still nobody out. Infield in for the Orioles again. And now here's Billy McKinney, just trying to keep the line moving.
And this is another opportunity for McKinney to say, okay, I understand what's at stake here. I get a ball to the outfield, I'm going to get 1 for sure in, and if I get a base hit to the outfield, I'm going to cash in 2. And this is part of building a culture for the rest of this season and beyond. In this situation, if I'm a hitter, I'm looking for the ball up. You want a ball that you can drive to the outfield, and that's going to be a pitch that's hot. And then, too, if you're looking for the ball up in the zone, you're not going to chase a low breaking ball in the dirt.
Down and in, 3 balls, no strikes, and with Castro struggling, left-hander Paul Fry is now up in the pen, maybe to turn the switch hitters around. Devin Travis on deck for the Blue Jays. Ball 4. Ball gets away, and Jansen will come home to score. Man, oh man, what a miserable half inning for the Orioles. Urania comes to third. The walk to Mckinney. 3-0 Blue Jays.
Yeah, and you know what? The wild pitches will go in the scorebook. For me, those are pitches that got to be blocked by the catcher. They're not that difficult, and it'll be another wild pitch, third of the inning. But 2 of those wild pitches have to be blocked. And this is another one, and obviously with a runner at third, you have to do everything you can. Wins was set up outside. The ball is down and in, but it's off his glove and goes back to the backstop as Jansen slides in.
A nightmarish bottom of the 8th for the Baltimore Orioles. The Blue Jays are happy to receive the gifts. An infield hit, a walk, a double for Urania, another walk, but 3 wild pitches. 3-0 Blue Jays, first and third, and still nobody out. This is the kind of year it's been for the Baltimore Orioles. So much more has gone wrong than right. They've got the worst record in baseball. Just 1 game worse than Kansas City. 2 teams really having kind of borderline historically bad seasons this year.
Yeah, and it's really been frustrating. We talk about how quickly things have gone in the dumper for the Baltimore Orioles. With just 2 years ago, these 2 teams played in a wild card game, and now they have the worst record in baseball.
Urania at third, Mckinney at first. And Castro really fighting himself right now as well.
With a loss, the Orioles will have lost 90 games. And they'll be the 4th team to lose 90 games in the first 127 games of the season. The 4th team to do that since they expanded to a 162 game season. The Mets in 62 lost 90 of their first 127. The Padres did it in 67. And the Tigers most recently lost 90 of their first 127 games, and that was in 2003.
2-1 the count on Travis. Mckinney getting some of the attention of Castro here with the 2-1 count on Travis. And Travis lifts a fly ball to deep left center field. He's hit it well, and it's gone. A 3-run homer for Devin Travis to blow it open in the bottom of the 8th.
Home run of the season for Devin Travis, and a rough inning for Miguel Castro. He will give it up as he did not retire a batter. He came into the game to start this inning, and he's given up 5 runs in the inning, and the Orioles still don't have an out.
And the lefty Paul Fry will come in now. The Blue Jays were up 1-0 going to the bottom of the 8th. It is 6-0 now. A rocket off the bat of Travis doubles the lead.
teammates be moved. Then came the report yesterday from the New York Post that Smoke had cleared waivers, which opens the possibility of him potentially being traded by the end of the month. I asked Justin, do you want to move to a contender? And he said, hold up, I love it here. Smoke's first 2 years, of course, were playoff seasons. He told me that spoils you to have that support every day. He said, I want to feel that again. He said that was a good ride. And with these kids coming up and others on the way, Smoke said, I want to be here when it happens again.
All right, Arash, thank you. And again, a lot of players are placed on waivers. A lot of players clear waivers. And just because a player is placed on waivers doesn't necessarily mean their team wants to trade them. And Smoke, I think right now, Buck, his option for next year would be $7 million. It might go to $8 million with more plate appearances this year. I think he's got kind of an escalating clause in his contract. But I mean, there's really, unless the Blue Jays get absolutely blown away by an offer, there's no reason for them to want to trade him. So.
No, he has been a terrific Blue Jay. He is very reasonable for what he does as an everyday player and with power. He also helps out every one of his infielders with the way he picks the ball at first base. You know, it's almost a procedural move by organizations to put everybody on waivers just to see where the interest lies, and that might spark some off-season conversations about whether or not there are real trade interests there. But, you know, guys get placed on waivers all the time, and a lot of it has to do with the front office just surveying the landscape to see where the interest lies with some of their players.
We'll count on Smoke, first batter for Fry. Oh, what an ugly line for Miguel Castro. Didn't retire a batter, 5 runs, all earned, 3 hits, 2 walks, 3 wild pitches. And what was a 1-0 game is now a 6-0 game. Making it look pretty good for Thomas Pannone to pick up a win today in his first big league start.
Well, he certainly deserved a win the way he pitched. He and his mound opponent, David Hess, were terrific through 7 innings. They had given up just 4 hits combined, only 1 run, and that was a Morales home run. But the Blue Jays have kicked it wide open here in the 8th, 5 runs in the 8th inning. There's still nobody out.
And Smoke drills the ball to right center field, but running it down is Mullins, 1 down, which will bring up Kendrys Morales, who did it again today. Another home run.
His 4th straight game with a home run, and this is in a scoreless ball game. He gets a breaking ball that just didn't break, and he hits it into the seats in left center. Excuse me, right center, and for Morales, his 18th home run, and that gives him a 7-game hit streak. He's 13 for 22 during the hit streak, and you can see the home run leaders for the Blue Jays this season. No one has hit 20 yet, but they certainly have balance up and down the order.
Breaking ball misses outside. 2 balls, no strikes on Morales, who turns around to the right side against the left-hander Fry. Since the All-Star break, Morales has an OPS of .873, hitting over .280, slugging almost .500. Obviously, it was a very tough start to the season for Morales. Hit just .178 with 1 homer in April, got a little bit better in May, and has just stayed hot really since June. Shallow right field for Jones. And that's the 2nd out. Got to be awfully tough. I mean, yeah, you're in the big leagues, but to play on a team that is struggling the way the Orioles have. I mean, it hasn't been a good year for the Blue Jays, but, you know, Baltimore's at a whole other level right now if it hasn't been a good year. And whether you're an Oriole or a Royal this year, some of the other teams you mentioned, that's a long 162 games.
Boy, it sure is. And you know what? It wears on everybody, the players, the coaches, the manager, front office, the fans. I mean, nobody wants to be associated with a team that loses almost on a nightly basis. 37 and on the verge of going to 37 and 90. And yeah, you have a lot of pride, and this hurts to play through a season like this. They had to move a lot of their players, and they've traded their frontline players that were all part of their winning success. And they started with Manny Machado on the 18th of July, sending him to the Dodgers. They traded their third baseman, their second baseman, 3 of their key components in their bullpen. Chris Tillman, a former starter, was granted free agency, but they traded Brad Brock, Darren O'Day, and Zach Britton out of their bullpen, their 2 setup men, and their closer.
And Grichuk swung at a pitch that hit him in the foot, and the strike supersedes the being hit by a pitch, so he strikes out. That's all for the Jays. A big inning. They get 5 and take a 6-0 lead to the 9th.
Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by Honda at the Model Clearout event. The real victory lap is the drive home.
Well, it's getting to that time. Been a fun afternoon for the kids here on a camp day, but if you can top it off with whatever you call that, why wouldn't you? Come on, Buck. Let's go. Let's go.
What would you call that? A little ice cream with some
I'd call that
topping, little mushrooms, marshmallows.
There's Joe Biagini on for the 9th inning with the lead now at 6-0 for the Blue Jays.
Biagini now pitching with that 6-run lead coming in just to close it out. Ken Giles was up at the start of the inning, start of the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Blue Jays put up a 5 spot, so Giles will have an extra day of rest with the off day tomorrow.
And it'll be Adam Jones leading it off for the Orioles. The Blue Jays 3 outs away from a sweep. It'll be Jones, Beckham, and Gentry for Baltimore here in the 9th inning. 7 one-hit innings for Thomas Pannone, a scoreless 8th for Ryan Tepera, and now Biagini on in the 9th. Ryan Borucki will be on the mound Friday night when the Blue Jays open up a series against the Phillies, and if all goes well for Aaron Sanchez in a side session tomorrow on the off day, he should be on the mound Saturday in his return to the big leagues. At the knees, 1-2. Jones didn't like it, and Sanchez obviously thrilled to get it back and talked a lot before the game today. You had heard a little whispers here and there about a suitcase injury, and he opened up about it today, talked to people, caught his finger in the handle of a suitcase, and obviously jarred it pretty good. Cost him a couple of months. Made a rehab start at AA a few days ago through 86 pitches.
A couple of different starts in Dunedin through a lot of bullpen sessions, and it'll be anxious for him, obviously, to get back and make that start and finish up on a real positive note before you get to the off season. You want to close the books on a season on a healthy note, and that's what Aaron needs to do.
You know, again, as you think ahead to next year, and it's kind of a a natural thing to do when the season hasn't gone as well as this one. They would have liked to have gone for the Blue Jays, but Happ's gone. Now, he could have re-signed, but he's gone now. Estrada's a free agent. You know, guys like Sanchez and Stroman, if you've got Baraki and maybe Pannone, and who knows who's in the rotation, you want to have some guys who have kind of been there, done that before. And although Stroman and Sanchez aren't old guys or anything, they've been around a few years. Swing and a miss by Jones, one down. Meanwhile, a note on the Devin Travis home run, his 10th of the season, and he becomes the 10th Blue Jay to hit 10 or more home runs this year. And it's the first time in franchise history that the Blue Jays have had 10 players with double-figure home runs. It's interesting. They got 10 guys with 10. They don't have anybody with 20.
Yeah, that's the kind of year it has been. Everybody is making contributions, but nobody's having a big year. And for Devin, he is healthy, showing his power. Went down to the minor leagues early in the season, and to his credit, he maintained a positive attitude, got his work in, and came back, and he's having a good second half to his season.
And they've got one more guy who could join the double-figure home run club if Lourdes Gurriel Jr. comes back as expected Friday and is healthy the rest of the way. He's got 7 homers and only 143 at-bats, perfectly capable of hitting 3 more. Just 2 hits for the Orioles today. A single by Trey Mancini to break up the no-hit bid of Thomas Pannone in the 7th, and an infield hit for John Andreoli off Ryan Tepera in the 8th. Neither ball hit hard at all, though. Maybe the hardest hit ball of the day was the one that Austin Wynns hit, that sinking liner to center field that Randall Grichuk caught. I would think Thomas Pannone's going to go out and enjoy himself a nice dinner in downtown Toronto tonight. He's earned it.
Yes, he has, and probably has some family and friends here that have made their way to Toronto, and he's got an off day tomorrow to really relish it. Opportunity for him to celebrate his first big league start with a win.
You know, it's the Orioles they're beating, but it's still a chance to sweep a series, and you just see more talking, more connecting, more smiling than we've seen at various points this season right now in the dugout. And I think the fact that it's some of the new faces and young guys contributing, that adds a little bit of extra energy to everybody.
Well, it sure does, and obviously their enthusiasm is kind of infectious as they're coming up for the first time, getting a chance to play these different ball clubs, going to different cities, different ballparks. And even though you've got some of the veterans on the team that have a tendency, yeah, they're disappointed because a lot of these guys have been to the postseason just a couple of years ago. But now when you get the Jansens and the Pannones and the Barakis up here and the Gurriels, everybody recognizes just how special the opportunity is to play in the big leagues.
3-2, swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts for Biagini.
Biagini's got a good fastball. He's got life to it. There's the 2-seam grip. He's got good movement on it. When it's down in the zone, it's tough to connect. And he has struck out Jones and Beckham here in the 9th inning. I think Joe is getting back to his comfort level, working out of the bullpen. And when he cuts down his arsenal to that fastball and curveball, he can be most effective.
So 2 down. The Blue Jays an out away from a sweep now. And a strike taken by Craig Gentry. A run in the 7th, 5 more in the 8th to give themselves a lot of breathing room. And the Jays set to enjoy A night off tonight, then a day off tomorrow before resuming their schedule against the Phillies on Friday. 96, 0-2. There to end the ball game. Biagini strikes out the side. And here on camp day for the big kids and the younger kids as well, a good time was had by all. What a day for Thomas Pannone. Morales homers again. Travis with a big 3-run homer. Good D by Martin among others. 6-0 and a Blue Jays sweep.
Yeah, a lot of good things happened this afternoon for the Blue Jays. 24-year-old Thomas Pannone made his first big league start, and he made the most of it, allowing just 1 hit over 7 innings. And then good defense. You mentioned a home run by Devin Travis. The Blue Jays now have 10 hitters with 10 or more home runs on the season. Russell Martin made a terrific play at third base, and Randall Grichuk saved a no-hitter earlier in the game, and it was finally busted up in the 7th. But an overall great team effort, as Morales has homered in 4 straight games now. And he drove in the first run of the game with his home run.
And a chance to feel good for a couple of days with the Phillies coming to town on Friday. 6-0. The Blue Jays beat the Orioles. Time now for Blue Jays Central with Joe Siddall and Cliff Floyd. Here's Jamie Campbell.